Hey, it's Friday, or I should say it's Pharmacy Friday. And you know what that means? It's This Week in Pharmacy. I am the founder of the Pharmacy Podcast Network, Todd Uri. Love being here talking with my favorite providers, pharmacists, and our pharmacy technicians out there. Thank you for everything that you do for our nation. 330 million people out there need pharmacy care. It's coming from you every day. And we're here to podcast about it. So, we have an exciting show today. I have in the studio Scott Fichter, who is a local legend. He's actually from the North Hills, where I grew up in north of Pittsburgh. And then he also married a lovely lady in Brownsville, Pennsylvania, just like I did when we fell in love with Brownsvillians, I guess, or Vanians, or whatever you call them. So we're going to be talking with Scott here in a second. He's the founder of No Slack, Just Hustle. You could find more information at noslackjusthustle.com. Talk about resilience, talk about bounce back, talk about how pharmacists go through burnout and ideas to actually get you back up on your game. But before that, I want to talk about the world of pharmacy for just a second and let you know where we're going to be. Before our conference list, let's just share something special with our listeners. This is exciting. So the Peace Corps has come to Pharmacy Podcast Network asking for our assistance to get messaging out about their tours throughout the world, specifically for pharmacy and pharmacy students, pharmacists. And this is exciting. So we're going to have programming coming from the Peace Corps very soon. I think we're going to get some of our first content out in July. So please be on the lookout. If you see those podcasts out, the best thing that you can do for us in helping the Peace Corps find pharmacists, they're also looking for nurse practitioners and physicians, is to share this content, and we greatly appreciate it. Just talked to the Dean of the University of South Carolina School of Pharmacy, and this guy is just on fire about medical cannabis and the usage of cannabis in medicine, in healing, and different treatments. You have to listen to Dr. Stephen Cutler's interviews that are coming from the Cannabis Pharmacy podcast. Cannabis Pharmacy has been partnering with us for about 3 or 4 months now. They're a wonderful partner. I want our customers, our listeners, your customers, your clients and patients to give us feedback into what's working in cannabis and pain relief, for example. I love the green roads, for example, the roll-ons, the topicals, but I want your feedback. So I'm going to try to make it as easy for you to give us this feedback. And listening right now, if you go to cannabispharmacy.com, you pick a couple of the products, especially like the roll-ons, because we want your feedback on the pain relief. And just let us know how it works for you, especially if you're recovering from an injury or something, you pulled a muscle, or you're even just generally working out. Let us know how these impact you. If you use code PPN20, that's PPN20, you will get 20% off your order. And then Cannabis Pharmacy will also keep you informed of future education that we're going to be doing with visionaries in cannabis and THC usage in treatment, like Dr. Cutler. Can't wait to talk to you more about that. Hey, SoftWriters annual event. SoftWriters is the makers of Framework LTC, pharmacy management systems for long-term care. They're going to be doing a conference that we're going to be at. I am honored. I'm going to be their MC. I'm going to be emceeing this conference on September 11th through the 13th. This is the 2023 SoftWriters 13th annual user conference. I'm excited to meet up with Scott Beatty and Joshua Porter regarding SoftWriters' endeavors, as well as the technologies that they support in long-term care pharmacy. But before that conference, we're going to be, Brady, are you there? I know you are. I know you're listening. Brady and I are going to be heading to Dallas to manage the media and press for the Pharmacy Profit Summit. Brady, I love going to the Pharmacy Profit Summit. I love meeting up with Lisa and her crew at Diversify RX. I know that this will be what your like third or fourth conference with Profit Summit.
Yeah, I believe this is the third. I can't wait. I love Texas. It is nice. It is warm. It's going to be a good time.
Yes. Thank you, Brady. Brady's our producer. If people don't know, he's behind the scenes. He's running the pods for us, building pods. If you are an organization, Liberty, by the way, a shout out to you guys. Your software systems are amazing. But if you want to be part of this event with us, please reach out to us. We want to build up your brand. We want to build up your messaging that goes out to our community pharmacy owners. And as you can see, Hugo is going to be sponsoring the NPTA. Mike Johnson and his team with the National Pharmacy Technician Alliance Association is going to be there. And by the way, there's special tracks happening at Profit Summit this year. We have the traditional track. It's all for our community pharmacy owners. That's dedicated to growing your business, profit growing businesses. Number 2, pharmacy technicians, leveraging your technicians to become a bigger part of your community pharmacy business. Number 3, which is a surprise, and this is the first time that it's publicly being shared, we're actually having a vendors get together called the Community Chest, or the community. It's like it's a derivative or a mention from Monopoly. What is it called? The Community Trust Chest or community. Anyway, it's going to be dedicated to our vendors that are there. You know, when you're at a conference and you're a vendor, I've always been in the vendor category, and the rest of your pharmacy owners are in session, right? And what do? We kind of wave to each other. We get together and like talk, but sometimes it can go 2 hours where we're waiting for the pharmacy owners to come back into the exhibitions and exhibits to see us. And that time, in my opinion, is wasted time. So guess what? It's not wasted this year. We're going to all get together as vendors, and we're going to talk about better communications with community pharmacy owners and better empowerment of community pharmacy owners, because guess what? We're not going to be in business if community pharmacy doesn't survive. And I plan to be here for another 34 years, God willing, in supporting community pharmacies. So I want to see you at this event. And once again, go to 2023 pharmacyprofitsummit.com. Once again, that's 2023 pharmacyprofitsummit.com, and look up this amazing event led by Lisa Fast, who's a pharmacy owner. She came from the PDS think tank and executiveship and launched Pharmacy Profit Summit Live. This is going to be a great event. We're also going to San Diego in August to the NACDS conference, the National Association of Chain Drugstores Total Store Expo. We're going to be covering this as press, and we're going to be there in partnership with the one and only Babson Diagnostics. You know I love Babson if you've listened to the Pharmacy Podcast, because it's the first technology that's going to be put into community pharmacies for blood testing. So you don't have to ask your patients to go get a blood test at one of those national organizations, and who knows where the results sometimes go, and sometimes you don't get access to it. But as a community pharmacy, in working in collaboration with your physicians, we should be getting data back from blood tests. So take a look at Babson Diagnostics and see us at the NACDS TSE. I want to give a shout out to our leaders in CE. If you are a pharmacist and you're looking for continuing education, we support Pharmacy Times Continuing Education. I want to give a shout out to Dr. Laura Babolts. She's just amazing. She talks about cancer titration medication plans and different things that she's doing with targeted therapies. The latest episode is about breast cancer. But imagine walking or driving or doing something where all you can do is listen. Listen to these podcasts, get your CE done and out of the way so it doesn't have to be something that you're racing to do. And by the way, these are amazing discussions about relevance in pharmacists and being pharmacy, active pharmacies in your communities. So we're excited about that. I am thrilled that we've seen growth in our feedback, as well as people that are participating in special series. If you're listening and you have something that you're passionate about, biosimilars, artificial intelligence, something that's latest cutting news and you want to talk about it, please reach out to me. I'd love to talk with you as well as your company and understanding how are we impacting pharmacy and pharmacy care together. Without further ado, I want to introduce my guest, who is a local Brownsville guy. Well, at least now he is, just like me. I'm a transplant from North Pittsburgh, just like the one and only Scott Fichter. No slack, just hustle. Welcome to the show, Scott.
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
I tell you what, I've been watching you online through Facebook, and our families have heritage through our wives together. As a matter of fact, I think we're loosely related on our wives' side somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Through some lineage.
Yeah. So I just think that you're a breath of fresh air, someone that is always inspiring. And you and I both come from North Pittsburgh. So when we transplanted ourselves into Brownsville back when we did, we were kind of shocked because back then, this was 2011 for me, 2010
for me. Yep.
We did not like this community. We were like, what is going on? This is a crap hole. And it wasn't a nice looking place. It wasn't like, I was not happy. But guess what? Brownsville has picked itself up.
Absolutely.
And it's a philosophy that you and I share in, and that is stop complaining and standing on the sidelines in your life, in your community, in your marriage, in your job. Stop being a sideline player and get involved. Even though you're going to get beat up and even though you're exhausted, you have to do something. So I'm going to kick it off to you, Scott. I want you to share with our listeners a little bit about yourself and why you launched your own business, which is No Slack, Just Hustle, and what that means.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I think it's about taking action, taking action on a plan that you have to be successful or to overcome the odds. And I think that's been a story that's always resonated with me, which is why we even came up with the mindset and the brand No Slack, Just Hustle, because I was always the underdog. If you know my story from when I was younger, whether it be in sports or whatever I did, there was always a chip on my shoulder that I had to overcome something, I felt like. And that was how we even created the brand and what we try to do to help inspire others, most importantly, and to have them have the belief in themselves that you can do anything you put your mind to. But the first step in doing that is actually coming up with a game plan. And then the second step is whenever you start your implementation, and then you can soar as high as you want when you do that.
And I think there's an element of consistency. And that is, you're never going to be 100% to your capabilities every single day, because that's exhausting. There's some times where we need to take a step back and kind of recharge. And the reason why that you're here today, Scott, from my point of view, just as somebody that I wanted to support in the community as well. And if you're listening and you're listening to us from Brownsville, Pennsylvania, give us a shout out and support two local entrepreneurs that are right here in Fayette County doing some amazing things. We broadcast internationally to the world of pharmacists throughout mostly in the country. But you're here in Brownsville, Pennsylvania, building a national business yourself. That is not easy. But the reason why I'm excited to have you here is because I want you to describe kind of like your game plan and your blueprint. We have a lot of pharmacists that just got done coming out of the pandemic. Tons of extra stuff that they had to do. They had to do COVID tests. They had to do immunizations and vaccines. And this was on top of everything else that they were expected to do.
Right.
The corporate culture, the big chain pharmacies, I call them fast food pharmacies, did not give those pharmacists and those technicians the support that they needed in order to get something that increased business by over 400%, expecting them to do exactly the same production and more with all of the onset of the pandemic. Right. So I want you to kind of share with our listeners the blueprint of No Slack, Just Hustle, and how you and I don't expect pharmacists and technicians to be perfect, but we want to teach them what to do to kind of a block and tackle game plan to keep themselves going and then to constantly have an opportunity to level up.
Yeah. And I think, in any situation in pharmacy or in regular everyday life, there's that chance of burning out. So how do we keep moving forward especially when all these other things are piled on us, like what happened over the past few years. And I think the biggest thing for that is self discipline and self structure, and thinking about why. Why am I doing what I do? Being in the field of pharmacy, and just like us in health and wellness, your mindset's probably to help other people. You want to make a difference in a positive way. And if you keep that as a driving force, and you think and you go, what I believe in is 7 levels deep when you talk about why you're doing anything. Okay. Because we can always get overwhelmed with tasks, and some days might be easy and some days might be hard. The easy days are always simple to get through, but the hard days are the ones that become very, very difficult. And that's where I say 7 levels deep with your why. And how you do that is ask yourself a question. Well, why am I into this? Why is this the field I chose? What is my purpose? You find that first. Then you ask it again, deeper, and get deeper. And usually what I've found, when you get to that 7th level deep, you hit a whole nother level of mentality where you're like, I got it. That's why I'm here. That's exactly why I'm here. And once you do that, it helps you to push through those tough times. It helps you to inspire others, and even most importantly, inspire yourself to keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, we need that. I need that. I look to I've actually shared with you The Word Before Work is a book that I'm reading right now. And you and Stephanie, your wife, I think
We
you've
read
read it
that
before.
too.
Yeah.
Great book.
It is a great book. But what it's teaching me is I I had a confidence and self-image problem growing up. I was picked on in Catholic school, and in Catholic school, Butler Catholic out of Butler, Pennsylvania, um, when you're in first grade through eighth grade, you can't escape your um, your appointed position within 30 or 40 kids. Once you establish that reputation, I was the short, I had a big head, wasn't in style because my mom and dad were, very conservative. Um, and I got picked on. I was fast. I loved running and playing soccer and stuff, but I couldn't escape it. So that was really hard, as it is on, children go through that kind of stuff. Then I went to public school, Seneca Valley, and my world changed because I got to be somebody different that wasn't put into a corner based on reputation. And when I got a taste of popularity because of I was so friendly to people and I just wanted friends, so I was never about one group. Like we had like the skaters and we had the people that listened to The Cure. I love The Cure. Then we had the rockers and the jocks and we called them burnouts, the
Right.
kids that smoked cigarettes that we thought were crazy, edgy people. Well, when I look back on that, they're just kids. I came into that. I didn't have any friends, so I was like friends with everybody, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like an opportunity for me to realize I don't have to be stuck in something if I don't want to be stuck. And what it taught me, even at a young age, was, and I didn't really even I don't even feel like I really perfected this until I was right around, I know the age, it was around 38 years old, where I finally realized that I can do whatever I want based on push, discipline, responsibility, accountability, and work, work, work. You just
Absolutely.
keep doing it, like building a brick house, like one brick after other after other. And I know that pharmacists, and I know that your clients, because you help out a lot of professionals, feel stuck. And I want you to share with the listeners like some of the things that you kind of teach through the weekly game plan, that is a book that you wrote, to really help us design a blueprint to get unstuck.
Well, I can definitely relate too, because I am 38, and I feel like over the past year to year and a half is really whenever I even started to soar too, because we all have those moments of where we do feel stuck. And the game plan that we came up with, not even just in the book, but whenever we work with people in general, is first finding out what it is you want, what it is you want to accomplish. And we already talked about the why piece of that, but then it's about actual implementation. So, one of the things that we do with our clients is everybody gets a copy of our book, because in our book, how we did it is it's so easy to read something, but reading something is only half the solution. You have to apply it. So how we structured our game planning for people is we have you read a topic that goes along with something you may struggle with, or maybe you don't right now, but you can relate somehow. And then we talk about asking you a question, getting you to start thinking about that a little more in depth, and then identifying 3 things. So every chapter, what we did is we do 3 pieces of the puzzle for that specific topic. Identify those 3 things that either you need to improve on, maybe you've struggled with, or that you need to overcome. And then one of the biggest things that I suggest is actually journaling things out. So we go through and we have everybody journal those 7 days, because when you journal and you write things down, it tends to have more meaning and power with you, because it's an accountability thing. That's your accountability partner. Oh, I didn't do it today. I need to make sure I get it done. And I think that accountability aspect for ourselves is something that in some situations has gone by the wayside, taking responsibility. And I think we look to other people, like what you were saying when you were a kid. I know a story when I was a child. I had a coach who was like, we can't put Scott in. We're not going to win the game. And my mindset at that point in time was, I need to prove that person wrong. And I was built on that mindset until I finally realized, whether I prove that person wrong or not, they're still not going to like me. I just need to prove I need to prove myself right. And I think that's the transition that we try to help people get to. Don't worry about this outside world and everything else. Worry about you proving yourself right. And then everything else is going to resonate from that.
I think what you've built really resonates with me more now than it did when I first heard about you, which has been, I think, nearly 2 years ago. And that's because of the guy on the screen right now. His name is Dr. Brandon Welsh. And Dr. Welsh is passionate about sports. He's passionate about conditioning, but he's coming at it from a pharmacological perspective as a pharmacist, as a scientist. And he and Scott Chelson and Jessica Biel and his whole team, the Sports Pharmacy podcast, which is on the Pharmacy Podcast Network. It's led by Dr. Hussein Hamouche, who actually goes to the Profit Summit Live too. So shout out to you, Dr. Sam. But I want to go back to Brandon. Brandon believes in what you're talking about. Not only is he fundamentally thinking of athletics and sports specific and how pharmacological strategies could help enhance sports, but also increase the time to recovery that people go through injuries. But his attitude is constantly about reinventing. And I have heard him say on many, and I'm looking at his Instagram right now. If you want to go to his Instagram, go to pharmacy_athlete. That's pharmacy_athlete. You will not regret it. He's an amazing guy. He's passionate. But the reason why I wanted to bring up his attitude and what you're doing, Scott, is because he believes in being accountable and holding ourselves accountable. He says the only person that you should be competing with is yourself.
100% agree. 100% agree. And I think, and I always say there's only 2 people you ever answer to 24/7. That's you and God, because that's the only people with you all the time. So that's where that accountability's got to come in.
Yep. So it's exciting to have someone in local that's here. You and I are transplant locals.
Yep.
And we we both noticed something. We noticed in Brownsville, Pennsylvania, Fayette County, Pennsylvania, Fayette County, from a ranking perspective in counties throughout the state that are thriving, is considered second to last.
Mm-hmm.
And that's for a myriad of different reasons. And part of, like, we could talk about politics, talk about leadership. I think leadership is definitely a part of it. But the county just decided about 10 to 15 years ago that they've had enough and it's time to reinvent itself.
Yeah.
And it's time to focus and get on opioid use disorder and people that are drug addicts to help them and to be more resilient and to kind of rebuild. Brownsville, Pennsylvania, once again, when you and I moved down here, crappy, little town, and everything was boarded up. And now all of a sudden it's starting to thrive. It's starting to come alive. The story of Brownsville is the story that you keep telling your own clients, and I keep telling pharmacists, which is we're all going to go through periods of Brownsville 1980 through 2010-ish times where it's just not nice to look at. It's not a great place to raise a family from a perspective of the downtown access and resources. But then all of a sudden it decided one time through, like, I want to give a shout out to William James and Team Humanity. He's just like, that's it, I'm done. Like this, we're going to reinvent ourselves piece by piece, person by person. And now that attitude is not around as like it used to be. When you and I first moved here, people were always talking down on their own city.
Yeah.
It's so like, true. It's less now.
It is. It is. And I think that comes down to as well with mindset, making a decision. You know, when he references Will made a decision that I'm done. I'm going to make a difference, and people are going to be on board or not. And then when one person sparks that, you can then in turn snowball that. And then now we've seen more and more people in the area doing the same thing, but it just takes that one decision. So even when you're struggling or you know, you're kind of in that gray area of the grind, you know, make the decision to move forward, make the decision that I'm not going to stop. I got a goal and I'm going to reach it. And then once you make that decision and you own that decision, I mean, it's amazing what you can do and how you can inspire others to do the same thing.
For the sports enthusiasts that's listening out there, our pharmacists who like sports, William James played for the NFL for 6 or 8 seasons or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but he was with the New York Giants. And I think he was with the San Francisco 49ers
and the Eagles.
Yeah.
Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is like a guy. Like this is a guy that knew how to lift himself up with the people that he had surrounding him at the time. And it was a decision that he made. And he was a punk for a while. He even admits it. You know, he went through that chip on the shoulder, and, you know, and he had to work through it, and he had to find the courage and the confidence in himself to do what it takes to reach NFL level status. But now he's come back to his own community, the community of Brownsville. He's reinvented from the youth athletic perspective that you can do what you want to do as long as you have a plan to execute. And he's helping young people understand you can really do anything that you want, but it's not going to be, he's never says it's going to be easy. He says it's going to be work. And that comes back to the philosophy that you and I and you profess through your program, that it's accountability, documentation, and consistency to drive a change.
Absolutely. That consistency, I think, is the big thing too. That's the puzzle piece that I think some people forget sometimes. They'll get a plan. They'll be accountable for a week, couple weeks. You know, it's kind of like, you know, the New Year's resolutions, right? We all get these New Year's resolutions, and then by February they're done because, we didn't hit our goal. And that's why when I talk about goal setting, and we even touch base on that in the book a little bit, I like to have goals that drive results, not result-driven goals. And that's different than what a lot of people say. Like, a lot of people come out and say, like, I want to lose 10 pounds. Now, I don't like that goal. I'm not a fan of that type of goal. I like the goal of, I'm going to get healthier, because then it's going to drive you. Because once you lose that 10 pounds, what happens? We don't have anything else to do.
It just goes, it probably comes back.
It'll come back because, we hit 10 pounds. Okay. And then I get on the scale a week, 2 weeks later, and I'm up 5 again. So when we have a goal that drives results, then we can start to think differently and think more consistently to say, I want to live a healthier lifestyle. So what does that mean to me? Well, maybe that's, I'm going to cut out soda. I'm going to cut out, eating late night snacks. You can consistently do that. Your weight's always going to fluctuate. It's going to depend on when you get on the scale, when you do whatever. So that's how I like to look at it sometimes, as far as how you drive those results.
So this is more than a book. The book that Scott is referencing is called The Weekly Game Plan. Hold it up to the screen. I'll get a picture of this here real quick. But the book is this book. I'll get this out of our way for just a second. There it is. The Weekly Game Plan. But I want you to talk about the rest of the program. So it's not just the book. It's literally, the book is just like this, the tip of the iceberg. So you've built an entire ecosystem that has nutritional supplements, workout plans, wellness schedules. I hear that you're talking to pharmacists that might be some future collaboration. Shout out to the pharmacist that you met down in West Virginia. What's her name?
Melissa.
Yes.
Dr.
Melissa. Dr. Melissa, we want you on the show, by the way. Shout out to you. But we're looking at your website right now. If you're listening to the podcast, you can't see this. go to noslackjusthustle.com. That's noslackjusthustle.com. Take us through some of what we're looking at on the screen.
So what we started with the book with a mindset, but then when we really broke down health and wellness, it's more than the mind and it's more than the physical. It's actually all that encompassed together. So we came up with taking our brand actually into a membership community where people have access to actual health and wellness experts. So we have a team of life coaches, personal trainers, nutritionists, physical therapists, looking at pharmacists.
Yeah.
But we have a community where people can get access to those experts to answer questions, to really dive deep into their health and wellness, get customized plans for their goals to really help them reach, that and get over that plateau. And, we partner with some great people on this. I'm really shout out to all of our experts. The one, if you do get a chance to look at it, the one on our website, his name is Kenny Halloran. He's our personal trainer. This guy's awesome. He changed my life personal training wise. I tried out to play professional football, play college football. During that experience, I plateaued with my lifting. Now I'm 38. You're not supposed to get stronger. I'm stronger than I ever have been because of the fitness app that we actually implement through him, which is called Optimized. And the program, it's fire. I've been doing it for 14 weeks. Results may vary, but but I have seen gains every single time I've been in the weight room. I've never seen that in my life. So big shout out to him, because the programs, we have various programs on there and we can customize those programs according to your needs, even based on age and what type of program's safe for you too.
That's great.
Which is really helpful in that health and wellness journey.
Dr. Dwyer, Dr. Ashley Dwyer, is one of my favorite life coaches and fitness coaches. That's a pharmacist. So I want you to link up on Instagram and just follow each other and stuff. But that actually might be a great person to have on your own blog or on some of your own content or interviews, because she believes exactly what you said, where she's like, stop trying to lose weight and just get healthy.
Yeah.
And she talks about her own journey and how she's eating 25 to 2,700 calories a day just to maintain some of the muscle that she's trying to develop in her own self.
Right.
And she's like, if she would have thought of that back in her start out when she was in her early 20s, it would have scared the crap out of her, thinking, I don't want to eat 2,700 calories a day. But now she's of course very much a scientist about it. But that made me think of you and the role of nutrition, the role of consistency, the role of education, and the role of exercise on a consistent basis, along with the journal that kind of keeps us accountable.
Yeah, putting everything together. It's a package. Health isn't just one thing. It's everything. We take it with us every day of our lives. Whatever we do, our mindset plays a big part, because stress management, our sleep, all these different things. And they're topics that we like to touch base on with people, because they're the X factors that we don't always think of that bring a lot of value to our overall health and wellness.
Scott, this has been wonderful to have you. You being local here in Brownsville, we got to get you back for a follow-up show just to see how things are going, as well as maybe some collaboration. Next time that we have you here, I want to have a pharmacist in the studio to kind of talk about how sports pharmacy is really exploding, and how your No Slack, Just Hustle program could probably fold very nicely into that.
That sounds awesome. I appreciate being here. It was great.
Absolutely. So it is noslackjusthustle.com. That's noslackjusthustle.com. Scott Fichter, I thank you so much for being here. And Pharmacy Podcast listeners, This Week in Pharmacy, we'll be right back.
This episode is sponsored by Independent Pharmacy Cooperative, widely known as IPC. Established in 1983, IPC is the nation's largest group purchasing organization owned by independent pharmacy. With a mission of maximizing the success of community pharmacists, IPC works to provide members with access to effective programs and services designed to enhance profitability for independent pharmacy. Read more about our mission by checking out our website at ipcrx.com. That's ipcrx.com.
great organization helping vets, but eventually we want that program to expand to helping to teach our P3s and P4s interested in supporting veterans and behavioral health and mental health. So once again, for my birthday, I'm asking you to buy a U.S. Army shirt next week. Alan McGill, he is a senior